Hello, I'm Driven D&D, the Disabled DM, and welcome back to Power Up Gamers. We are kicking off a new campaign called Homeward Bound. It will be a 5e campaign. However, it's going to be a bit different in that we're using the Microscope RPG for the first couple sessions to kind of set up our setting. And then we'll be switching it into 5IV characters level 1. I'm just starting out. So with me tonight I have Christian and Donald, OK, and Trish. Yes. So do any of you have any channels you wish to plug or products, anything special going on?
Well, I do. For the viewers, the next session for the campaign on Jared channel, Cryptostat, is going to be on the 21st. So, if you like the session so far, watching it, watch on the 21st live.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. It's a Pathfinder campaign. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it's interesting.
Well, he's learning so far. That is important.
Exactly. And Cal, I believe you said you had a channel as well?
Yeah, I do have a channel. It's mostly just gaming live streams for about an hour and a half a day. I know I've actually recently been doing 2 of them a day. So they're pretty intense, pretty random what I do, mostly MMO RPG kind of games related, exploring worlds, discussing lore and stuff like that, which is my main passion when it comes to online games, like realizing the world that they've created and wanting to explore it. So yeah, I'm Dracalic on YouTube, and yeah, you guys can check me out if you like. But only subscribe to this guy.
If you want to shoot me a link after the session, I'll be sure to include it in with a description. That way people can go like directly to your channel.
That would be awesome.
So to get started, Donald and Christian have some experience with Microscope along with me. Cal and Trish, I believe this is the first time they've ever even heard of it.
I have no idea what it is.
So to give them basically a quick rundown, when using Microscope, it's kind of a collaboration type thing, and you can play out events, periods, certain scenes, and you basically just role play off of each other. But there is no GM, you don't use dice, so it's all kind of what someone says goes. So we'll kind of kick it off pretty simple, or to start out with is that they have 4 main steps. The first step is called the big picture. The second one is called bookend history. The third is the palette, where you add or ban an ingredients that you want to see in the game. And then they call what is called first pass. And first pass is kind of where we actually get into the events and the periods and the scene. So, the big picture is a simple overview of the history you want to play. And this is if you were looking in history books, this would be the one line that summarizes what happens but leaves out all the details. So it's something like an ancient empire rises and falls. Came in at the dawn of time, found the first civilization. Stuff like that. And you wanted something big.
Sounds intense.
So
Yes.
look, we have a Google document up.
Mhm.
Kind of what we came up with for last week when we kind of began this was we felt something like a journey to the center of the world.
Mm.
Something that began on the surface and then descended into the heart of the planet. Kind of a Underdark type campaign.
As they descend into the darkness.
That is to say, that's only a draft for now. It's still up to debate whether or not that is actually going to be our main,
Exactly.
our main
This
story.
is the kind of stuff we came up with last week that we thought would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's ask Trish and Hal what they think about a setting that has kind of that as its focus.
And if they have any ideas for other
Yeah.
settings.
Or if they have something else they kind of want to play.
Well, with a setting that takes us from the surface of an unknown world into the very bowels of the planet, there's a lot of potential there, and there's a lot of different things and scenarios that can play out that a lot of players and DMs alike haven't seen. So it could end up being very interesting and very unique. So I actually really like that idea.
Okay, how about you, Trish?
As long as there's swamps, I'm happy.
I probably will. Though well, I like the idea, and I was there when we made it last week, but I also thought maybe it could go the other way, where we start underground and then work our way towards the surface. It could go both ways.
It could be a reverse idea of journeying to the center of the Earth.
Yeah.
Something like the Fallout series, where you start off underground in the vaults and then you go up to the surface.
Yeah. So either way would be fine. So
As long as
which
we get mech suits.
Mech suits.
hey, mech suits are possible.
They're awesome.
Anything possible using microscope.
Mhm.
It all depends on what we say yes and no to.
Yep.
So do we want to go from the surface down, or do we want to start down and try to be making it to the surface?
I would like surface going into the center of the Earth. You can have mysterious creatures, or you can this at the GM perspective. You can just change a monster type and whatever and say it is just there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing that is really nice about kind of an unknown underground. It's you can do anything with it really easily.
Yeah. So there is a story about a man going to the center of the earth, where once he gets through the first couple of layers, the whole perspective changes, and it's like I believe it's like a whole other world on the inside where it has its own unlimited sky and such.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm picturing if we do like a surface down type thing. But it can work either way.
Well, I can just say I'm digging that idea.
Yeah, I definitely like that. Going to the center of the Earth or somewhere in the Earth.
Okay, so let's just leave it as it is. It's for the main idea.
I could
Journey
even
to
see
the center.
climates and storms and things in the center.
Oh yeah, like
Definitely
Definitely.
electrical storms.
Yeah.
there could be so many different weird weather phenomenons that happen underground there. Things that we've never even witnessed before. Things that would just be so just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I mean, literally raining cats and dogs.
Okay, so
Literally.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Could be.
so the next
Spiders anyway.
so the next step is called bookend history. And this is where basically we take that idea of a journey to the center of the planet and we give it a starting period and an ending period. And these are said to be very large chunks of times, possibly decades or centuries. So it might be something like mankind is having to go from the surface down, not
Yeah.
to the individual characters.
hmm Then the question is, though, will the journey from the surface to the center of the Earth be some? I'm guessing that when we make our characters, that's what we'll be doing. So will that happen in the midst of all this, or will it happen before or after the whole events that puts the races below the surface in the first place?
I would say it would probably be during
Mm-hmm.
and possibly after the events. So like when we actually start playing, mankind might be living basically in caves that are just slightly below the surface
It could.
and having to dig deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the early would-be underground societies, it could go with the idea of the metro system from the book Metro 2033.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things we can do.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the way this part works is we agree on a short description for 2 periods, a beginning and an end period, and then we decide if that's a light, positive time or a dark, negative, tragic time.
It
And
reminds me of a dream I had once where, for some reason, I think we had a nuclear holocaust or something, and we had to go underground, and it was a totally different ecosystem in there. There were dinosaurs and all kinds of things that from the past that were still there, dragons and giants. It was really interesting.
so, I would title these two period 1 and period 2, and they would basically go under the setting.
Mm-hmm.
So on this journey to the center of the Earth, where do we want to begin? Do we want to begin with what's happening that causes everyone to go underground?
I think that would be a good point.
Yeah, like this is like the events that kind of starts the whole thing, where we start below, above surface, and then see what
Okay.
happens over
So,
there.
Events that send surface dwellers underground.
Yeah, and I think that's what's like the big part of this whole thing. That's what's going to happen before we create our characters.
Try
Now-
to get to it through the chaos and panic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, period 2 is where do we want to end?
And that's where I'm thinking. That's when humanity settles underground.
That or they figure out a solution to the events that allow them to go back above ground.
That could also happen. So
So it really depends on what we as players want
Mm.
But
Though
kind of finding
yeah, though I
the-
think it would be better to have the real gaming session happen after period 2, because then it leaves us more freedom to actually do actually create the events instead
yeah,
of having it to lead to somewhere special. I mean, we don't even know if our adventure is going to lead to a way to get back to the surface.
yeah. So it could be interesting, but I would agree that the actual start of us playing would be after period 2. So everything we're gonna be doing's kind of setting this.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I think the main question for this period is, do we want it in the end where everyone's settling underground, or do we want a return to the surface?
I think it's going to be a mixed thing. You're going to have some people wanting to stay underground and rebuilding their life there, and others wanting to go back to something more familiar to them and rebuilding it
Because
there.
they feel safer underground. They won't
but
want to
others
repeat.
will be missing what they
Yeah,
had.
and then there'll be the other side of it, which will want to return to the surface what they once had.
Hmm.
So I think it'd be like a big faction split at that point. It'd be like, no, we're staying, and no, we're going.
Okay.
Definitely.
So how about we say something like a faction war about returning to the surface, and that be that a second period is this war going on.
Yeah, that could actually make sense, because the people that want to stay could fear that the people returning to the surface could cause more chaos to follow them back down to the way they've now
And
settled.
then they're like, well, you can't come back down once you've gone up there because, you could bring back diseases or anything else. So once you're up there, you're up there.
And
I just keep thinking Fallout.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then that also leaves it open for when we play, for
Exactly.
if the characters want to go back up above ground or not. So I think that looks really good.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I
that's
agree to that.
That makes sense to have a divide there.
about returning to the surface.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that seems. I like it. I like it.
Okay, now we need to decide if these two are light or dark events.
Hmm.
And that's if it's a happy kind of positive time or not.
I say period 1 would be dark, as
I'd actually say both would be dark in this case.
That-
I'd say they both be very dark.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking is both,
Hmm.
but
But
the overall is dark.
Yeah, but
Now,
the events leading up to period 2 would be lighter, because
Yes.
it would be that there's this peace period that leads up to this whole split in society.
Yeah. And there could be events and scenes within the periods that are light,
I mean,
but that wouldn't change the overall tone.
You've got to have that spark of hope for a moment that the DM can then tear down,
Yeah, and then
Oh, yeah.
You're
just
like, oh, there's hope, and then suddenly there isn't.
then just mass depression
Yeah.
on a massive scale over the factions,
Okay.
which will cause chaos itself.
Okay,
And then it's up to us, the players, to create order.
so step
Yes.
3 is the
Down
power.
underground, you're going to have people wanting to set new rulers and set new rules, and there's going to be a lot of fighting over that. And
Trying to create.
I mean, who knows? Maybe one of the player characters will actually end up as a ruler of one of the factions.
You
We never know.
I am your god.
Okay,
So I am.
so step 3 is the palette, where we add or ban ingredients, and this can be basically anything we want to see or we don't want to see in the game.
Hmm.
Okay.
so we're beginning
And
there.
the way we do this is each person adds one thing, either a yes or a no, and we can discuss these and kind of how they work.
Mhm.
And it
Okay.
goes in any order.
Hmm. Though I think it should
Okay.
probably start with Jaren, then Donald, then
Yeah,
me, just to
yeah, we
show.
usually kind of go. Well, I normally use All Star, and then I usually go left to right.
Mhm.
Which Christian is you're on my left on my screen.
Same here. Sorry, buddy.
Now,
It's okay.
if everyone adds something, you keep going. If
Mhm.
someone chooses not to add something, it goes around once more to that person, and then it stops. So in the end, no one adds two things more than anyone else. At the most, they add just one more thing.
You got your shit up?
So the first thing I am going to say yes to is ancient technology based on magic. So you could have mechs that are powered by some kind of magic source.
Mhm.
I
That would be
agree.
cool.
But I like that it's ancient technology. So
Mhm.
like you have to figure out how it works and things like that. So next it will go to Christian to add either a yes or a no.
I am going to add a no here. I was thinking that I would say no standard under dark races. So no drows, no dwerger, no sveneflin, none of that.
What about if we change that up just a little to say
Mhm.
no standard bases?
No, because I still want to add some of the standard races from the 5th edition, but just not the drow or
Okay.
that. Like it's the first time
Yeah.
these races are even thinking about going down underground. So maybe those races will pop up later. I mean, it's not. This is not. Let's say to begin with, just so that maybe the drows, the elves that go underground will split up into a faction, so they will become the drows later and stuff like that.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay.
It
I
is
can see that, but the reason I like to say no standard races is then we have to come up with something that makes an elf unique.
We can still do that though. I mean, there can still be those standard elves, but there can be other factions of the elves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's my turn.
Yes.
I would like to say yes to tieflings, but have them be added later due to dealing with outsiders, so to survive in the underground environment.
Okay. What if we expand that to include like all fiends?
Okay,
Oh yeah.
so what?
Because
So
tiefling is basically a fiend, but that also expands it to demons, devils,
Hmm.
things like that.
Hmm.
I cannot spell today.
That's okay.
We know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, different different tiefling type in underground later.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. A human surviving underground making deal with outsiders.
That could also be how warlocks began.
That's good. So now we will go to Cal to say yes or no to basically any idea that he has.
Okay, I have got one, and it has to do with what happened, and that is something along the lines of a shadow force invades, or something along those lines, and that's why they're scared to return to the surface.
Okay.
Yeah, like the surface is actually covered by an alternative race of beings that has kind of started this whole
Yeah.
nuclear magic war thing.
Yeah, they just came out of nowhere, portals opening, them just pouring out, and everyone's just panicked and rushing and trying to find shelter and end up underground.
So something like the Darkling from Kingdom Hearts.
Something like that. Something like that. Or
Yeah.
Or a new
Which-
type of
Which
necromancy.
I actually have a race called the Shadow King.
There you go.
Really
There we
good.
go.
Okay, and next year are going to be adding in Ponykin.
Yeah.
well,
No
I think
dragonborns.
No Dragon Ball.
Life underground is bad, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. So would that mean no dragons as well, or only dragonborns?
No, I think it would just imply that the mixing of the race hasn't actually occurred.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So that's also one of the things that may happen later or something like that.
Yeah.
That could be a cause of what happened up top.
That
Oh,
could
yeah,
end up
definitely.
in...
I mean, it could even be, I mean, if not shadow beings, then it could be dragons who took over the surface world.
Yeah,
We don't know that.
Exactly.
Okay, so it will come back round to me. I
Uh-huh.
am going to say no deities.
No deities.
Oh, I like it.
I love it.
That's
Cool,
bold.
cool.
So,
And then in parentheses, I'm gonna say divine magic works on power of belief.
mm-hmm.
So people
like
can
that.
believe in them, but they don't really exist.
Uh-huh.
What about the fiends? Would they be just be a force that people believe in?
They would be their own race.
Mhm.
If you would still have the infernal and celestial races, but
Mhm.
it's not attached to deities.
Yeah. So, I guess that means it's my turn now.
Yeah.
So we were talking about something before going live about animals being able to talk, and I really like that idea. So I am going to be adding that, but with the restriction of not all animals, but some animals.
Okay. So how would we determine which ones can talk or not?
Well,
Would there be a certain intelligence?
I-
would it be like familiars? Or...
I think it'd probably come down to like an intelligence score crossed with if they're a social type of animal.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, like pets. The general pets would have a higher chance of having
Yeah.
human intelligence, whereas wild animals would have lower chance. Though not
Well,
saying
that's all
that it's
Okay.
impossible.
into humans.
So how about we say domesticated animals are able to talk?
Yeah, but I
Uh,
still don't like the idea that all domesticated animals, like only certain individuals, like a special line, like a long line of a specific breed of
Yeah.
dogs or cats are able to, but not
I was
all
just
of them.
thinking that it could be through selective breeding.
Yeah.
That could
That
indeed
occurs.
be a possibility.
So-
I would like. I
I
would.
think I'd appreciate a cockroach talking to me.
So let
No,
So
but
that-
insects. I think it would mostly be mammals anyway.
Yeah.
so let's change it up to say a domesticated, selected breeded animals are able to talk.
I would like to add a social type of social type of birds would be in there as well. Ravens and any intelligent bird like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would say anything that social would have been selected to read for this, because social animals would be a higher intelligence. There we
Social-
go.
Uh, Hello.
That works perfect.
hmm
Okay, so it goes
Oh,
back to Donald.
I would like to say a yes to would be false type of deities, outsiders trying to make them appear as deities, but they're not deities. So
We have another.
so a false prophet type of thing.
Someone else joined the chat.
Oh, awesome. Who joined?
Mm.
Oh,
Ember
hey,
Shade.
Amber. What's up?
What's up? I hope I'm not interrupting. I just kind of want to silently observe and be part by not being part.
So you're going to stalk us.
Okay, that's fine. You're welcome to observe our craziness. Okay. So,
Yeah, it would be deities, but they would be outsiders that are trying to pretend to be them.
so
Yeah.
I would include at the end just say outsiders. Then we know it's stuff like elementals, or it could be aliens.
We both fixed that up.
Okay, okay. I have to make a Cthulhian believer now.
Yeah, I mean, there are the aboleths and such, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
So have you heard of the new god Cthulhu? He is out of the wave.
He's totally new wave, dude. All
So-
those balls.
I've heard of him, but
now-
I'm sorry, I'm not going to stop watching Godzilla.
So now we will go back to Hal to come up with either a
Turn, Cal.
or a no.
My turn. Alright. Okay, so what was I thinking of here?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, you're not telling me what I was thinking of? That's really mean of you. Right, so I would like to say that there would be not many older elders.
Line.
Oh, that's
yeah.
that's fine. We can go back in and fill in.
No, you can fix it.
Not many elders due to the events that occurred and the shorter lifespans underground as they're adjusting and building communities. The elders would get more diseases underground and stuff like that and die out.
Oh, yeah.
So there wouldn't be that many elders around.
Okay.
Especially amongst the shorter-lived races like
Yeah.
humans and
Yeah.
and orcs and such. Well, maybe not orcs. I think orcs have better constitution, so they also have a better immune system to those diseases. But no elder humans.
Possibly.
Mhm.
Depends on the disease. But I like
True.
the idea of like all the races. If you were to put them in human years, they would be like 20 to maybe 40 years old. So they're like
Yeah.
right at that adult stage, but they're not really the wise elder,
Mhm.
but they're not exactly kids either.
So it would be
Yeah.
early caveman society type of life expectancy.
With the difference that they probably still have, if they haven't brought down books, they do have the ability to convey information in the form of text, which will still mean that there is possibility for society to thrive in a short amount of time.
Exactly. Okay, so we would go to Trish to add a yes or a no.
What are you typing? Let me go see this. What are you typing? Aha! The one that I was thinking.
Oh, don't tell me you're putting something Twilight in.
So that could be, that could probably because of what's happening on the surface ground. Like if it's a magical distortion on the surface, then that makes it easier for races to mix. Like for example, with the chimera. So chimeras are more like a natural creature on the surface now because of all this.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
And I kind of like the idea of mutations because you can take like two creatures and put them together. and
Yeah.
have-
And we could even have lesser extents of that. Like a player could have like a deformity, like they might
Exactly.
there's many interesting things that you could do with that.
Some, for example, an elf with a tail.
Exactly. I am going
so
to
not-
say yes to unknown plague
Yes.
that affects all creatures.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. There is so much yes in that sentence right there.
Yes, yes.
Which can also be linked to the not many elders. And
Yeah.
damn, now it's my
Not-
turn, and I have absolutely no idea what I want or what I don't
Yes,
want.
that can be linked to the not many elders, the mutations, all sorts of stuff.
Exactly.
Hmm. So, I'm guessing this is kind of an easy thing, that the most general level of technology would be medieval tech. No.
A feudal era?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say the medieval tech kind of area would be what is standard that people know,
Mm.
and then anything above of that
Yes.
would
I was
be
thinking
kind
that
of
before.
the ancient technology.
Which can be used to the whole added to the steampunk. I'm thinking this old technology is like something like the Dwemer in the Elder Scrolls series, where they have this steam-based technology.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
you could have all sorts of things with that. You could.
I know where the mechs come from.
We've had some
You could have
steampunk
mechs.
technology.
You could
Mhm.
have blaster weapons.
And if we may, I don't know if Tim or any of the absolute tabletop guys are watching, but we're going to borrow and use the Tome Hearts because I like the idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But like the Tome Hearts are some of the remnants of the old society that built this whole
Yeah,
technology.
Tome Hearts are basically a cross between robots and Warforged.
Cool,
So I'm
cool.
thinking
They
something
are
like that.
really awesome to play. I had the chance to play one.
Well,
I
you
think
could
it's my turn.
definitely do
Yes.
steampunk with
It would
clockwork creatures and that.
Trish, I didn't quite catch that. What is Trish saying?
I said you could definitely do that with the steampunk type theme there with gearwork creatures and things like that.
Clockwork spiders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my idea is tieflings get to live a very long life, just like the elves, due to their continuous interaction with
Okay,
the outsider.
Yeah, though I think we should generally just lower the general living age of all races because of the plague and the harsh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even if tieflings live longer, then they are still not
Yeah,
living
they
like
would be-
like millennia at a time.
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
live
The
up
other
to
thing is we have a specific yes already on tieflings.
yeah.
So how about we add this concept to that?
Okay, so
That way we leave open more space.
okay, so just say
We can
they
always add more, so it's not.
yeah just add live as in theory live very long lives.
Yeah, and that would be long-lived for this kind of setting, but no one's really long-lived. So they might live 50 to 60 years.
Yeah.
If you equate it to a human lifespan.
Yeah, I just thinking it would be nice to have potentially centuries if they survive that long.
It could be possible. It would
I mean,
really depend on what happens underground, how bad it affects them, etc.
Yeah, and besides, there are still the dwarves though. I mean, they're used to living underground, so they'll probably be the ones helping, like the other good races at least, and be the mostly or the least affected of the new underground races.
Okay,
Yeah.
so after Donald, it will go back to Hal. Or Cal,
Alright.
sorry.
So, I did have an idea. Just have to remember it now. Oh, right. Low education.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the majority of people will not be well-suited, educated individuals. Majority of them won't know how to read that well and stuff like that because there's not really any schools or anything like that have been set up to help them with that kind of stuff. Not much text has been brought down in the panic, so they're all having to try and learn things as they go now.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah, though I still think there would be like these nobles who had a lot of who made sure to get a lot of the cultural parts with them down below. So
Yeah, they would definitely be like the leaders of factions
mhm.
and
And
stuff like that.
probably elves would be.
Noble houses would probably have
Mm.
have a higher education.
Yeah,
But
but the general education level as a whole could easily be lower.
exactly. Okay, so we will go to Trish. Okay, about changes in climate.
And
So that will mean we'll have, if we're going to play with the 5th editions, then we're going to have to change most of the spells in that, or leave some spells out and such.
Actually, there's a really simple way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You base magic on I believe it was in 3.5. It was Incarna magic, which was basically based around your chakras and your chi.
Mm.
Ah.
So more
that's
monks,
what
less
I'm
wizards.
thinking of,
Yeah. Like this is it would be like you would be limited on what you could cast because
yeah.
there was like 10 chakras.
Mhm.
So mechanically, so the wizard could cast X amount of spells and would still function as keys still.
Exactly.
Mm.
You would basically pick out your spell else.
Mhm.
So like a wizard would only know 10 spells.
Mm.
Mm.
That's severely limited to wizards, though, who are
Yeah,
made
it
to
does.
have a lot of spells.
Yeah, I mean, that
It
would
does
hamper them. So how about they just learn more as they go?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It does limit
Hey, they
them.
could learn to adapt.
But
Of course, they
that's
would
only
adjust
one method of doing it too.
themselves. Yeah, true. I mean, just because it's also doesn't mean it's completely different. It just means that it works differently. Maybe there are bigger chances of the wild magic search happening from the wild magic sorcerer line.
Yeah, you could base like all magic as wild magic,
Hmm.
and that
Like
would
there are no more wizards, but there are plenty of sorcerers, maybe.
you
Yeah.
yeah you could also make like all magic based with the elements and combinations of elements.
Mm. So, like for example, Big Biz's hand would be changed into hand of pure fire or ice instead of just
Yeah.
magical energy.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be basically the same spell. It just flavor-wise, it would be based on like elements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back to the base elements, that's
Yeah.
probably a good. Yeah.
And
Mm.
I always include 5 elements because I count spirit as an element.
Ah, fine.
Which actually that also leaves open stuff like dream walking
And psychic spells.
and psionics and stuff like
Mm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my next thing is gonna be another yes, and that is evil has already won.
Go evil.
And this one, and this is a very limited resources, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of setting where evil's won, and
Yeah,
people
because
will
organized
stab.
crime.
Yeah,
Organized crime. They had the resources and the manpower to actually move people underground.
yeah, and things like people will stab you in the back for a sword.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you watch your belongings because there's not enough to go around, kind of deal. And that could be something like the Shadow Force invasion. They could be pure evil, and they've already won the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So now it's my turn, and I got an idea. Like, this is not going to be as important, at least to begin with, but maybe later in the campaign. But surface is covered in volatile magic, making it uninhabitable.
Nice. I
Yeah,
already got an idea for that.
Mhm.
yeah, when I was actually thinking something very similar to that, like when the portals open, like this black liquid puddles on the surface, corroding and causing
The
all
air
sorts of
is
problems.
the air is thick with magic that corrodes you from the inside, stuff like that. Like a nuclear fallout.
Yeah. Magical fallout.
So exactly.
Okay.
Okay, my turn. So how do I add another box in the yes? I would like to say yes to wizard magic, but have it limited to the noble houses, as it is a noble thing to use wizard magic. Going with the theme, the nobles being more educated, they have that experience.
What if we added that to the no magic as known? That and like in parentheses only put higher education knows magic.
Yeah, so it would be the ruling class or the
Yeah.
elite would use it.
Yeah,
Would use magic.
basically the elite would use as magic. The common
So like
people would use
if someone makes a wizard, they have to be a noble or something like that instead of a sage.
Yeah, the noble or the common people might have like a shaman type deal.
Druid.
Well, yeah, possibly a druid that could do a little bit of healing using like alchemy, herbs, stuff like that. But I would say true magic would belong to the leading nobles, the faction rulers.
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So you could have like a wizard in Clivic and not be a noble, but they wouldn't know true magic unless they
Yeah,
happen
so
to learn it.
yeah, I'm the character thinking it just would be a noble or
Yeah,
leader.
it would be easier to make them some kind of noble or some kind of sage that has done research.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who came up with that? Was that Donald?
That was
Yeah.
Donald.
Okay, so
I think it's a cow.
yeah, so we would go back to Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Very limited food sources,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
which
Okay.
can cause a lot of
Oh,
low economy, and that can also tie into
Yeah.
The
many
reason
other
why people
things.
would move.
Hey,
I don't think we actually need a separate thing for that because if you see under Evil has already run, I included limited resources.
true, yeah.
So that would include food and
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
stuff,
when
medicine.
when it comes to food, spells, would you allow? Would everyone be okay allowing create food or water spells?
No, that would probably be one of the limitations to spells. That's for somehow creation spells that create things that are not purely energy, like evocation spells. I think it's called what's called that school of magic. I don't remember. I think it's conjuration. Conjuration
Yeah,
spells just doesn't
conjuration.
work.
Yeah.
Conjuration spells doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I would say that would probably be the case. That or they're so weak that you might conjure up, like if you're trying to make a feast, you might conjure up a small dead rabbit.
Like a sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
if
so
you do use conjuring magic, it would probably would be the tiefling would use it.
yeah. So how did you have something else you wanted to include or not include?
No, never mind.
So, so I'm not sure.
Okay. So if you don't have anything else, you can pass, and then it will go to Trish, and then it will come back around through me, Christian, and Donald, and then it will end.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have a pretty good setup, although there are basically a one or two more things I can think of that I want to put in.
Yeah, I think I got one more thing in me as well.
Thinking on it, it's
I'll make a phone call.
nah. I don't really think there's anything else that I need to add there right now.
Okay. Right. So, let's have you pass, and then we'll go to Trish.
All right, Mother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because like we just moved down, started a new society, and there's chaos everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's gonna be like a whole nother establishment.
it's basically like the Wild West with no sheriff
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
kind of deal. You might have your factions, but they're basically groups unto themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you'll have vigilantes and stuff like that, but
Exactly. Okay, so the thing I am going to add, I want to insert a row below, and I am going to add that the world is a melting pot of the universe. And that basically means that this world is like the center nexus of all the dimensions, all the planes. So you might I have Fae running around. You might I have other dimension beings running around.
I mean, that could be a side effect of all the portals opening on the surface.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I'm thinking is it basically tore open this dimension and to allow other stuff to come through. Okay, so we will go back to Christian too.
Yeah. The thing is, I have like two things I want to add, a yes and a no, and I'm not really sure which one I should pick.
Choose which one sounds better.
Yeah, I think I'll choose the yes then. Half elves are linked to the wild magic in a way that makes them change gender randomly.
So that sounds interesting. So kind of like
yeah.
a worm, but they can't pick when it happens. It's just like,
Yeah, like-
oh, now you got breasts.
Yeah, like if they have very feminine thoughts, they turn into females, and if they have very masculine thoughts, they turn into males or something like that.
Very
you'll
interesting.
play armor.
That could actually be really fun to roleplay. Like imagine the voice
Yes, it
changes.
could.
And no, honestly, instead of just limiting to half elves, let's just say some people are linked to the wild magic in a way.
Okay.
I think we should
I
go
vote
that
wood
way.
Yeah, that would be very awkward when it comes to reproduction down there. I think.
Yeah, that's the
That's
idea.
very awkward if they're in the middle of something.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the last one for yes or no would go to O'Donnell.
It's my turn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to say a yes to outsiders trying to make their own law and order within their own social groups in the underground.
Okay. Let's instead of adding it to another row, let's do it in parentheses under the shadow force invades. So not only did they invade the surface, but they're trying to come down underground too.
Yeah, they want to finish them off.
Yeah, they basically are looking to eliminate everyone and claim the whole world.
I mean, why wouldn't they?
Exactly.
Those assholes.
Yeah, I know. We have to do something about that.
On it.
If only we had some heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Like
only.
them.
Yeah, so agree on outsiders trying to enforce law and order.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm already starting to get ideas about my character already. So.
Oh, I've got my character. I've got my character.
I got
Okay.
mine already.
So we can erase the section on minor notes,
Yeah, I think we got what we wanted.
and let's take a few minute break, and then we'll go into the next part.
Yep. See you in, let's
So
say, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes?
Yeah, say 5 minutes. We can refill coffee, bathroom, all that good stuff.
I'm gonna go get my chips.
Yeah, need to make more tea.
See ya.
Laters.
Okay, I'm back.
Me too.
Awesome.
Hi.
Had to go and fill up my teeny tiny glass.
So it sounds like we've come up with a pretty interesting setting.
Hell yeah.
This is
Looking
gonna
forward to it.
be so much fun.
Yeah, I already have ideas for the first scene.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
there's events, scenes,
Mm-hmm.
period, which
Yep.
we'll be going into. And there are a few things that even you and Donald don't know, like they have something called legacies
Mm.
that we haven't ever really delved into.
Mm.
So, because the few times we've done this was basically teaching the basics.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll figure it out soon, I guess.
Yeah, well, if it comes up, we'll deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Although we've done perfectly fine in other one-shots and stuff even without using those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The no I was going to propose was no paladins. I don't think paladins really fit into this kind of setting, but I mean, at least now they're still possible if someone wants to play one.
I I would I would say paladins would be more like the Knight Templar.
Yeah, some very, very inquisitive kind of people.
Exactly. They wouldn't be so much
Well,
a,
in 5e,
a holy warrior as more of the Inquisitioner type.
well, I mean, in the 5th edition, paladins aren't as holy warriors as they used to anyway. They
Yeah.
are more linked to fighting for a cause instead of a specific god.
Yeah, and that would be a more of how I would see paladins in this kind of setting. It's more of a cause warrior.
Yeah, so their powers would come like there are no deities, so the cleric spells would come directly from their own belief in their own made-up deities, and
Exactly.
and in the case of paladins, it would come from their own conviction in their own cause.
Exactly.
Hmm. Makes sense.
And like druids, the power comes from nature itself, not a nature deity.
Well, that is also kind of the way things are in 5e anyway, so not much change there.
Exactly.
Though their spells would be more linked to the underground setting that we're going for.
Exactly.
So I wonder how many viewers do we have?
I think 0.
Oh,
Mm,
yay.
I could
Yeah,
be wrong.
zero right now. We had one earlier. And I know like Booker and AbTab, they'll watch it as a video.
Awesome. Well, in that case, hey Barker, hey AppTab.
Yeah, Booker was really looking forward to it because he loves Microscope.
Yeah, and I really think Barker is an awesome DM and player, so really hope I can be in one of your games someday.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I keep kind of pestering about our guest spot on the second season of Provokers.
Well, someone else got that guest spot, and congratulations to him. So that's really awesome. I am hella jealous, but that's
Whoever it is.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, last I heard was they weren't sure they were even including a guest spot.
Well, I mean, in the trailer posted some days ago, they did reveal the name of the fourth player. So
Yeah.
So they have decided. Just
This isn't a regular player. A guest spot's where you come in for like one session.
Then I can be a provoker for one session. That is so awesome.
Possibly.
Or as Barger would say, that's so rad.
Possibly. You never know with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
They always pull something new. But I would tell you this: they
Mhm.
could probably fill a guest spot for every single episode of Provokers or Winds of Sicily easily.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even have any problem finding anyone because, I mean, they just have to post something on the Absolute Tabletop or One Shot group on Facebook, and they'd have their players.
Yeah,
So.
they would have a
The
lot.
provokers.
Yep.
Mm,
Okay, so is everyone back?
seems like it.
Yeah.
I got
Okay,
my chips
awesome.
and I got my teeny tiny cup of water, so I'm good to go.
So
I got
let's
my teeny tiny cup of coffee, so I'm good.
okay.
Awesome.
So now here's how the yes and no column works in the rest of the game. If it's in the yes column, it's okay to introduce it into any part of the game, even if it doesn't seem like it fits in that particular part of the game. If something is in the no column, you never bring it in. That it doesn't fit in the setting at all.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty standard. Now, something is also to remember, even if something is in the yes column, it doesn't exist in the history until someone introduces it in play. So it could be in the yes column but never get used.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so step 4 is what it's called first pass. Now, group decisions are over. From now on, each person makes decisions individually, and they have basically vast power to shape the history.
Sorry.
So, the way this works is each player will get it to do one of 3 things. They can add a period, an event, and or a scene. And a period would be basically like we have our 2 bookend periods. So we could add another period between them, for example, the discovery of ancient technology.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say if that's light or dark. An event is a specific thing that happens inside of a period, like a prince seizing in the throne, a colony ship arriving on a new world, etc. And then the scenes are where we basically act out a specific part of an event and answer some kind of question. So, Christian,
Mm-hmm.
let's have you kick this part off, and then we'll go Donald, me, then we'll go to Cal, and Phil.
Okay, so let's take the start by taking the settings part and pushing it a bit down on the document to create some more structure.
Okay.
So we'll put it here. Okay, so. Okay, so let's see. What should we do? What should we do? What should we do? I guess I will. I guess I will add the. The thing is, I'm not sure whether the thing with the animals should be actually before the first period, or is that something that's going to happen while humans live, or well, society is down. So I guess I'll add an event pretty late. No, that should probably be a scene. Anyway, wow, this is really
That
hard.
could be That could be something that starts to show like very minor cases, and
Yeah.
which is the build up to what's actually happening. Nobody's noticing what's happening at first with these creatures doing this.
Yeah. Well, actually, I got an idea, and I'm really sorry because I think Jaren might have wanted to add this one, but I'm going to do it. Let's call it event 1 for now, but it can just be changed. And I want to put this really late because this is going to be one of the things that pushes the events that we are going to play into later. So, ancient artifacts and G is discovered. And the reason why I want to put it here is, again, I'm thinking that's what pushes society to want to move further downwards or upwards, because now they have a way to do that because of the ancient technology.
I would say that could and fits very well right at the start of period 2 and right at the end of period 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of what kicks off this faction war.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So, Arnold, it will go to you to add another period, an event, or a scene.
Period.
And feel free to change the number of the event, because I'm thinking it should be a late one anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to have a event after period 1.
Okay.
This event would be after the surfers gone into the earth. After some time, the outsiders offer a deal to the survivors, and this is where the first tieflings were made a few generations later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Seems good.
Yeah. So that would become event 1, and then temporarily the ancient artifacts would become event 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tiefling science came later after generations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think a cow turn now.
It would go to me then, Cal.
Oh.
We changed it up a little bit. I am going to say there is a period 2,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be colonizing underground.
Yeah, getting used to the life underground. Mm-hmm.
That would make sense between in the beginning and the deal. You have colonized underground, and there's this faction war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we would go to CalNet to add either another period, a specific event, or a scene.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that one lends itself to light.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking probably in period 2 as the colonization starts.
Mm-hmm.
As they start to try and build and clear area and mine and stuff like that, they could come across the disease down there, which has been emitted by floral or maybe even dust from the rocks in the walls themselves, and
So
stuff
that's
like that,
right.
which ends up spreading.
Okay. So that could be an event at 1 under period 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So event 1 plague discovery.
We can
Okay.
name them like from the period that they happen in.
Yeah, you could do like 1.1.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will go to Trish to add a period, an event, or a scene.
Okay, I'm thinking of the ecological collapse, which starts the manifestation of mutations and diseases.
Okay. And where do you think this would take place?
I think it will take place on the surface to begin with, because that's where the ecology is going to be affected first.
Okay, so I would say it would be like an event and under period 1.
Maybe even before period 1 or something like that.
I would think that it would be one of the events that send the surfacers underground.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that would probably be event 1.1 or something like that.
Yeah, I would say that would become event 1.1, and the deal would be event 1.2 on our current setup.
Mm-hmm. That's... No, that's diseases? Yeah, there we go. No, that's not it either.
I got
Again, sorry, my Danish is showing.
it. There we go.
Yeah.
When I think of the word Danish, I think of the dessert.
A Danish,
The
yeah.
fun thing is, Danish pastry is not even a Danish invention. Curlers are a Danish invention.
Yeah, funny thing is, sauerkraut. It was a Chinese
I
dish.
think start talking about sauerkraut.
Yeah,
Okay,
sauerkraut
so-
made by the Chinese, but the German take credit. Like the French taking credit for French fries, but the Belgian made the first fries.
Okay, so let's kind of get focused back. It will go back to Christian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I am actually going to add a scene. Like
Not
the colonization. So Jaren, will you do the honors of explaining what a scene is?
okay.
Exactly.
First, what question do you want answered in the scene?
Mm-hmm. And I want to know how the new, and I'm going to put this in quotation. Yeah, no, not parentheses, because I want to put some emphasis in this. So I'm actually going to put it in bold, if I can do that. Works a bit. This whole thing is a bit wonky. So no. There we go. How are the new
I think I'm going to have to rest.
transgenders
Oh, no.
treated in the new society? That's what I want to know.
Okay. Hey. So
So-
at least one of the characters will have to be one of these transgender people.
Yeah, of course.
So the way scenes work, and I'll pull up the PDF.
I want some painkillers.
Sorry, is it that bad?
Cal has a migraine attacking.
Oh, that's
That's
not good.
It's not pleasant.
I can only imagine. Well, so yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay, I see. Hey. So, that is basically kind of the focus of the scene.
mhm.
Hey.
And I imagine this scene as being where the first transgender actually appear, and I want to see people's reaction to that.
Hmm.
Okay. So basically, in a scene, we all pick a character to play. And it's just a random made up, like you could play Lieutenant Wolf if we were playing Star Trek. So for this scene, let me go. I think I would choose to have a character included that is a noble
Mhm.
or one of the elite,
Oh yeah, definitely.
and I am gonna name him Locrius.
Hmm.
And we will make him a male human, and we will basically say he is a knight.
The question is though, because I can see Donald adding something. Would tieflings be considered an elite, or would they be shunned by society?
I get that they would, within their own social society, they would be elite.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm imagining this happening in the midst of a human marketplace or something like that. So he would probably not be considered elite here.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, it could be very weird at that. So like, he could be. It might be a tiefling that has kind of proven himself.
Mm-hmm. That could be definitely.
Oh, okay. So now I'll ever go to a Christian to make a character. Stella Stanley. Well, we know which one the transgender is.
Yep.
Now notice I haven't said who's playing which character yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's something we'll decide on after we got the characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now it would be Trish
Cal.
Trish or Cal.
Well, Trish, Cal's dead. Down with a migraine anyway, close enough.
Oh.
Yeah. And if you wanted, Trish, since Cal has a migraine, and you could uh, do one on his behalf as well.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go for it. he says.
Oh, because we'll be doing this for a couple sessions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
so it's perfectly okay if he needs to go lay down or
Okay,
whatever.
I'm thinking those with more intelligence than others are going to separate themselves into like not a cult but a clique, and they're going to start their own schools, and it's going to be very select. Not everybody's going to be able to get in.
Definitely.
Yeah. But for this, it's just basically one specific character that would be in this scene.
Yeah, probably the wizard of the party or something like that.
Yeah, it would be Withered. Would be in the
Which
neatest.
we had a tiefling in
Mhm.
wizard. We have a human knight. But
And we
we
have a
can
human
have
peasant.
more than. But we can have more than one.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Of some of
it's
these.
where we start to see the separation of people, where they're like separating, they're not working as a whole. And
Yeah.
So,
racism will start to come into play, yeah.
yeah. So,
Mhm.
what character would you think would take part in this scene that isn't already in the scene? Or is there something, a specific character you think wouldn't be part of this?
Well, I think the barbarian definitely wouldn't be a part of it if there was a barbarian, because he would probably be like bullied a bit. I know the
Probably.
big guy
Okay.
getting bullied,
Okay.
but I don't know. It's hard to
So,
say.
so give this barbarian a name.
Oglin.
Other the barbarian. Any specific race for him?
I'd say he's an orc or half orc, definitely.
Oh.
Or, and he is not part of the scene. So maybe at like the beginning of the scene he storms off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe because the orcs have been mistreated and they don't believe in like a subclass type thing.
All right.
So I could see them believing like the transgender should be treated as same as everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see something like that, but he storms out at the beginning or near the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
So do we want to add a fifth character for Cal,
mean-
or are these four basically the ones
Well,
who are in?
I'm thinking this scene is going to take place at some kind of marketplace. So there would probably be other peasants there, and the reason why the elite are there is to like make sure that everything goes as it should. So if not any more specific characters, I think there should be a crowd of.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there would be some kind of group in the marketplace.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. That's not how you spell crowd. That's how you spell crowd.
But I'm thinking these are so specific. But yeah, just crowd of peasants works. They're basically observers.
Mm-hmm.
And for my one, I'm thinking of sort of like a black market for things that are no longer accessible.
Like a fence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a name for this person or something?
Leith. Leith.
Leith, how do you spell that? L-I-C or?
No, Leith. Leith.
Ah. Mm. Leith.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how about we make him an elf?
Yeah, he is an elf actually. Our Leith. Yeah. Oh, she. Sorry, she is an elf. But it can be a he. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So elf female.
Mm-hmm. And we'll just say black market in parentheses.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
So
now that gives us a pretty good cast and pretty good representation. Although I think we should possibly do one more that's kind of like an NPC type, and that would be some kind of dwarf.
Yeah.
And that would basically represent really the main races.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Minus the halflings.
Human, tiefling, elf, orc. And you could say like halflings and gnomes are in the crowd of peasants.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking NPC, dwarf, and we will aim him person, and I think it would be interesting to make him a male inquisitioner.
I think that's called Inquisitor actually.
Yeah.
I'm always weird on that.
Add a TOR Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how it's spelled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you could always check the Dragon Age Inquisition game. They use that word all the time.
So I kind of like the idea of this Knight Templar kind of character who's basically sees this transgender and grabs onto him and brings him before these elites to decide what to do with him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now the question becomes who plays which?
Yeah, I want to play the tiefling.
Okay.
I'm going to play Stanley or Stella.
Okay. Do you have a particular one that you would like to play, Trish?
Well, Leith is female.
Yeah, true.
Well, so we'll just put your I'll just say Trish by Leith the female elf.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will play. Ooh, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Between Ocrius and Tosin for where I want to play. Because I kind of like both of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we already have humans represented in Stella. So maybe you should
So let's make Locrius basically the NPC,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will play the Inquisitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we can. Does someone wanna play Eglin for like the first
I
part of
I
the
I
scene?
I want to do that. I want to do that
Okay.
because it's kind of playing into something I have planned for this very scene.
Cool.
Okay.
So yeah, so I guess I'll just set the scene and start the whole thing.
Awesome. Go ahead and start it off.
Okay, so it's since society has moved under the surface, they're no longer counting the days in morning, noon, and evening. They're counting in circles of well, not circles, but in a different kind of time period that we know up here on the surface is hours, but down there it's called something else. I'm not sure which, but it would be something similar to the afternoon at the marketplace
I
in
could see them calling it something like church marks or candle marks.
Yeah.
Some,
So something.
like
So
that.
something like a water uh, uh, pool that tell the time.
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like yeah, could be. So anyway, we're at the marketplace. It's bustling as far as it can be. This is kind of a small settlement, and very many people, and most people know each other. There are a few travelers. This day specifically, this city is hosting host of no, a group of some of the elite, and there is some tension because the people here are not very happy with the way they're treated by the elite, the way they're being oppressed, but they try to keep it hidden to prevent to not get punished for their views. So, and the day is going like any other, despite that, until there is a bit of a ruckus by the time by one of the market stalls. A young girl is being harassed by an orc. He fancies her. Definitely, it's it's not hard to see that the cloth or the leather pants he's wearing does not hide his intentions with this girl. And she's trying to wriggle free, and he's groping her anywhere until he reaches her crotch, and something about his whole demeanor just changes, and you can see the anger flare up in his eyes, and just yells out, "What the fuck!" And he throws this young girl away, and storms out of the vicinity. And the poor young girl is just sitting there, confused and scared, and just yeah.
Driven,
Yeah.
not driven. Those would definitely be in the marketplace and see the seeing the orc storm off. He would go over to the female, help her up. What's all this about? Why are you causing a disturbance in our marketplace, lass?
I'm really sorry, sir. I'm really sorry. And something strikes you at odd because this person is clearly wearing female clothes, like a long, long wooden dress and a leather apron and the hair. A bonnet, I think it's called. But she seems to be in her mid-teens, 15, 16, but for some reason her voice is way lower than a girl should be, and once this person sees her face, he can see that her features are um, more square, not as fine. Her cheekbones are not as high as they should be. Her jawline is a bit wider than it should be, and there's something weird about this girl.
And she appears human.
She is human.
And Thurston would look at her kind of strangely. Goes, I didn't know your kind bred with dwarfs.
We don't.
I suppose I should take you to the elite for questioning.
No, sir. Please don't. Please, I'm innocent. It's not like that. He tried to, and she's just stammering and confused and trying to explain herself. And you can see he is crying, and as he is crying, his feature. It's hard to really tell, but it seems that his features become more rounded, more. The cheekbones, they go higher, just like the pitch of his voice, as the tears run down her cheeks.
Thurston, being pretty observant, would notice this, and
And she's right in front of him, so he would definitely notice this.
and he would just kind of shake it off. Looks like you have gained access to some kind of magic that only the elite knows. Come along.
No, please don't. And she's very distressed that you're carrying her along, and but she can't really. You're way stronger. You're a trained soldier. You're way stronger than her, so she can't really do anything as you drag her along.
Hey, and I believe I would take her to Logrius and the El Wizard, who are probably standing near Leaf.
Yeah.
And he would address Logrius as, Sir, it appears we have a bit of a situation. However, I think Raven might be most suited to answer her questions.
I will answer your question. Why do you bring this peasant?
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean nothing. I'm just here buying apples for my mum.
Why do you bring her? Shouldn't the peasants be with the peasants? Is something odd going on?
Yes. First off, they were part of a disturbance, which that can be dealt with later. But when I was talking to her, she seemed to have, I would say, almost masculine in features, similar to those of a Dwarven female. Yet when I asked and she started crying, the features became softer, more of what you would expect of a human female.
My superiors would like to experiment and do more research on this.
No, please don't. Please don't. And as she's begging for you to not, you can hear the tone of her voice as she's more defensive, and she seems to be willing to fight for her freedom now, and you can hear in her voice her pitch is lowering to that of a young boy, and her features again turn more masculine, and you can see her where she would before had she's not very ladylike to begin with, but you could see some hips due to her dress. that fits her pretty tightly around the waist, but for some reason it just seems to fit very weirdly now. Her torso is more square than before, and
I mm, I would use what limited magic I would know to calm the person down. Trust me, you are of interest to my master. By assisting him in this matter, your time will be compensated for your effort. Trust me.
no, don't leave me alone. Leave me alone. Your magic doesn't really seem to work. She's way too distressed to just be calmed magically, and also she's visually, or he is visually scared of your appearance because you have horns and look very inhuman. So she is very distressed by all this and can't seem to be calmed by magic.
Raven, in a fit of anger, I'm going to be taking you to my master, and you're going to be a subservient serf, and do what he asks if you know what is your best interest. You serf.
No, the boy in front of you yells and pulls out a small knife. It's definitely not a weapon, mostly used just to peel apples or other vegetables. And she tries to stab Thorson, and then she turns on a heel, and again she starts running away and tries to hide.
Yeah, before she get to flee, I use magical missile to cripple her legs. Sir,
she, for some reason, the weakened state of the magic just seems to brush off on the dress, and she keeps running and turn a corner.
Okay. So as she starts to turn a corner, I imagine she would run past Lee.
That's what I was thinking as well.
So Lee, you see all this happening, and these elites appear to be wanting to question this, but you assume it's a young boy at this point.
Though for some reason he's wearing girls' clothes.
Yeah. So how would Leaf react to this?
So I take it Leith has a stall happening here at the market.
Yeah.
She'll have some boxes and things behind her, crates I should say, not boxes. She would step forward and motion for the young person to hide behind her boxes or her crates.
And you catch his attention, and he immediately, because he's seen you before and he knows who you are, because even though no one really talks about it, everyone knows that Leith is the person to get if you're in trouble or something. So he runs, looks behind her to make sure that no one is directly behind her, and she quickly runs towards you.
Alright, and as she gets behind the crates, I'll get the rug and throw it over the top of her.
And I would imagine, right as she's covered with the rug, that's when Thorson would be turning around and...
I would assume I would be chasing this person down as well.
Yeah, trying to figure out where she went. So, before we go any further, have we answered the question of how are the transgenders treated?
Well, I'd say we're halfway there, because now we know how the elites treat them, at least with some interest, and we don't really know how it's going to be going forward. But for now, I'd say we at least got half of the question answered.
Okay. So do we want to switch over to the peasant side of it? Because Leaf would be considered a peasant. The barbarian is a peasant. The dwarf technically is a peasant.
But he is very much working for the elites.
Exactly, he works for the elite, so he kind of doesn't count.
Mhm.
Oh, so would Liv dealing with the black market, would she be a acquaintance to the elite then?
She would kind of know of them because they would be making sure kind of the stuff she sells is stuff they don't care about being out on the market. So there's probably like elite investigators or tax collectors that kind of keep an eye on her.
Mm.
But I think Leaf actually would be pretty representative of the common folk.
Oh yeah, the
Be-
very fact that she is working for the black market means that she's against the elite also.
Yeah, because most of the common folk are against the elite,
Hmm.
unless they can profit by it.
Hmm. So,
So
Trish, what are you?
I think it really answers the whole question in that the commoners would be more understanding and accepting of these transgenders, but the elite.
The thing is, I don't really think so. I think the at least to begin with, I think the peasant would actually also find it disturbing and weird that some among them change genders all of a sudden. But I think we should let Leith react to this. So if we skip ahead a few minutes, where Leith has successfully managed to hide Stella or Stanley, this young person, from the elites, and see what Leith's thoughts are on all this.
Okay. So we will go between basically a Stella and Leaf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So will you take over here, Trish, or?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the elite have gone. They're out of sight. So pull the rug off Stella, help her up, maybe even brush her off a little bit.
Yeah.
Treat her like prized goods, so to speak, as she brushes her off.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't really have a problem with the transgender thing, mainly because she knows that there might be something in it for her as well. She might be able to make something in the market with this. And all her customers are that. They're money to her, so she doesn't have any problem with anything. And the fact that she's dealt with a lot of strange things in her past, transgender's pretty low on the list.
Yeah. So you can notice, because what was clearly a boy hiding underneath the hiding by all your crates is now back to being a female, a girl that you have seen before, this young Stella Parks, who you know, and her clothes fit perfectly and all that. So, thank you. I'm not sure I know your name, but I really am grateful for helping you. I don't know what I would have done if they had found me.
What were those dogs up to this time? What did you do wrong?
I don't know. I just there was this orc, and he tried to rape me. You know, it happens, and somehow he got really angry because I was a boy, and then I was, oh my, I was a boy. And you can see as she starts to realize this, she turns into a boy again.
Okay, and Leith reaches for her water skin and hands it to her.
And she takes it and drinks, and I imagine it not being water, but wine inside that, or...
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Yes.
But Stella drinks this, and she looks at you, and yeah, she looks at you, and smiles.
Maybe you should sit on the crate and gather yourself for a moment. I don't know
Right.
what's up with those dogs. They pick on everyone at the moment. If you're not one of them or something normal, so to speak, they seem to have it in for you.
Right. Thank you. And she sits on one of the crates, and yeah. Also because she's starting to feel a bit wobbly. She don't know why. This whole thing has been kind of weird. So it might be just the adrenaline wearing off or something else. I don't know. So yeah.
Do you have somewhere to go after this?
I'm not sure I can go home. I don't know if I can explain this to my parents, but maybe? I don't know. It's all so weird.
Well, if you need some more time to think on it before you go home, you can always stay with me a little while and help around the market. I could always do with an extra hand lifting crates and things.
You know, I think I'd do that. And at the thought of lifting crate, for some reason it's a boy in front of you now, and he seems eager to help with lifting the crates and trying to get his mind off of this whole ideal.
Okay. And I assume this would be like a male form that hasn't been noticed yet.
Probably.
I would assume some time passes, Raven and Luthor would catch up, at least in the merchant district.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I would imagine Thurston would go back to kind of making his rounds of the marketplace, keeping
I would
an eye on Lee's stall, making sure goods aren't being offered that aren't supposed to be out.
I would ask around and try to find where the person of interest went.
And as you mentioned, this whole thing about changing from boy to girl, people just look at you weirdly and shake their heads, but they're not being impolite. They just don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Do I eventually find someone that point me in the right direction?
Probably not, because no one even knows about this, and they don't know who you're talking about.
Okay. I guess we report back to my superior about this interesting advancement in the society so far.
There's definitely something going on. So I think for now, I'm pretty satisfied with the answer.
Yeah.
And I would kind of imagine like all the elites gathered together to discuss this and put out kind of a bounty on transgenders because they want to know what's going on and if it's tied to magic, which is why she was brought to the elites in the first place. Was person kind of assumed there was some kind of magic in play.
Yeah, and due to that, people would probably, to begin with, they would probably hide if they have a family member who somehow are able to change. Some would probably hide them, while others would probably just sell them off to get rid of this whole magic thing.
Yeah. So I think we've answered that question as best as we can at this point.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay. So it will go, I believe, to Don or next to make a event period or another scene.
Okay. I would like to have a event period uh, 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 underneath if beneath period 1 it would be event 111. It would be the beginning of the descent for the surfers.
Okay. So,
So this would be probably where the shadow folk or shadowy figures would make their first mm, uh, debut on this road.
okay. I would say instead of 0.1, I would say make it A, and then the other one would be 1.1B.
Like this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Take out the third one,
Okay.
and then the
B.
1.1 below it would be B.
Yeah, this don't really have to play it out. It would be the the shadow creatures.
Yeah, it's an
B.
event, not a scene.
Yes.
The scenes are what's played out.
Okay, so the shadow folk begin their conquest of the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you would just type that in. Okay.
And not shadow folk, but actually shadow creatures, I think.
Yeah, because we aren't sure what they are at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, my first question before we go in any further is how long do we want to go for?
Well, I think we still need to
We've
flesh.
already gone 2.5 hours.
Well, in that case, I think now would probably be a good place to stop. I mean, who's next in the line? Because then we can just pick up from then next week.
It would be Trish or Cal.
Yeah, it would go. Cal, actually. In the order we did it. So we would go Cal, Trish, then back to one of us three who's familiar with this.
We did a lot.
Yes, it's a pretty good start. Or we got a little bit further than I expected for the first session. So let's take a few moments and kind of talk about what we did, how we liked it, what people thought, etc. So, Christian, why don't you start us off on this?
Well, I think, I mean, it's really interesting. I'm looking forward to playing in this in this world, and I already have plenty of ideas for, if not one character, then at least a few. And I also have some ideas for other events, and I'm looking forward to next week when we can continue on. I mean, once again, it's hard to. It feels a bit awkward. Doing these scenes because they aren't the same structure as there is with there isn't the same structure as there is in game, so it's hard to like do what we want without, since we are not really making any plans for it as we go. It's all improv. But
the hardest part I see to the improv bit in this system is like when it comes to some kind of combat disagreement type situation. That's
Yeah,
kind of
and
where this way is weak.
yeah, and it takes a bit extra effort not to Mary Sue or Gary Stew yourself into the story.
Yeah.
So, but
Like, I
it's
could have
fun.
very well else and the dwarf turned around and grabbed
Hmm.
the girl right away.
Exactly.
But I'm like, well, no, he just got stabbed at.
Hmm.
He's kind of looking at the elites for direction, so it took him a minute.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's also a bit hard to know exactly when you can step into the scene. I mean, it takes a bit. There's a bit of a starting period for everyone. It seems like.
Yeah.
Is it my turn now? Is it my turn now? I mean, it's hard to know when you can just jump into it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. You really have to have a good chemistry as a group, and that's kind of hard to do when you're first getting together as a group.
Hmm. But then again, it is also a very good way to get to know each other.
Exactly. So, O'Donnell, what do you think of how Microscope works? What we come up with?
If the Microscope RPG is used properly, it can make interesting starting event for a campaign.
Hmm.
Exactly. I think it's really good for world building. It could come up with some really awesome character concepts, some backstories.
Well, when we get to actually play the characters, playing as a tiefling would be quite interesting, or being a noble.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I would ask Cal what he thinks, but maybe Trish can relay that to us.
Sorry, what was that? I was just fixing something up.
I was saying I would ask Cal kind of what he thought of the system and how it worked, but with him having to migrate, I don't
Yeah.
know if you want to ask him and relay kind of what he says. Or...
Well, I think he feels the same way as I do. It was an interesting concept, a new one for us. We can see the bonuses for doing it. It works really well, laying it all out like that. I actually think with any campaigns we do at home, we'll definitely do that because it makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
You've got it all in front of you.
What's really nice is the PDF is available on Drive-Thru RPG, and it's only $10.
That's not bad.
It's really well priced. It's really nice to have it all laid out in front of you as you're doing it. So if it's something you are considering for use in like your home games, I would definitely recommend picking it up. I don't know if they offer physical copies of it or where to get those. I know they do exist because Bunker has one, but the copy I got was through Drive-Thru RPG, and it's an online PDF that I have saved in my Google Drive, and I have it downloaded to my hard drive. I think we came up with a really unique setting. I love how Microscope works for world building because there's no like DM saying, here's my setting, you guys have to play in it. It's something we all make together.
Hmm.
Which I think is really an awesome way to get players really in touch with the world and what's going on. Which is a big bonus when we start running the campaign and the players are already invested. I don't have to hook them into the particular campaign.
Well, they're already comfortable in that setting.
Exactly. Because they helped make the setting is something they're all going to be wanting to play in. So I think it's pretty awesome. I will be telling Mary kind of what we came up with it because she was interested in joining us and might in the future. We have another person that might join us in the future also, so we might actually be running with 6 people. Which is a little bit more than I'm used to, but we can make it work.
6 people are plausible, but would be pushing the group attention.
Yeah, I kind of like for or maybe 5. So tonight tonight worked really good, and we'll see if either one of the other 2 end up joining us or if they don't, etc. So I'm pretty happy with this session. I think we got quite a bit done. We covered basically everything there is to Microscope to cover. It's all kind of a rinse and repeat from here on different scenes, different events, different periods, until we feel we're done. And I personally thought we would do kind of one more for the setting itself, and then we would do one based more on what characters people want to play.
Yeah, that would be good to have one just for the setting and one for character creation.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking doing the character concept and backstory kind of bit together like this could provide a pretty unique opportunity.
I'm thinking next week session for this would be the actual setting, and then the week after is character creation.
Yeah, makes sense.
And what I would say for the character creation is like we follow the same format that we use for the setting, but the person playing the character would have the veto. So they could say, yeah, I like that. No, I don't. It doesn't kind of fit the feel that I wanted to go for. Instead of like in the setting, no one can really veto another one's idea. You just kind of talk about how it works. But with character creation, I would say the person playing the character could just flat out say yes or no. So, with that, we are planning on this being a campaign, and I imagine at least it's probably 12 sessions, with the first 3 being the Microscope stuff, so at least 9 sessions of actual play. So far, we've planned pretty much every week.
I don't mind.
I don't mind it. I can fit that into my work schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have to stay awake all Saturday, Sunday, so fine by me. Who needs sleep anyway?
Yeah.
Well, it was Sunday morning for me when it started, so it's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 5:30 in the morning here.
Yeah.
So.
It's 11:30 p.m. my time.
Yeah, 10:30 p.m. my time. So
Well, it's 1:30 p.m. my time now.
So I'm thinking the time and day are perfectly fine.
Agree.
Agree.
So if Cal and Trish can make it on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central Time, which is roughly when we put up the hangout and got them everyone in it, that would be awesome.
Fine by me.
Okay. So until next time, I hope our viewers enjoyed the video, and may the dice always roll in your favor.